welcome back to my new show, second episode already. Can you believe it? And sitting with me again is Mr. Abbass Zadeh.
Thanks for having me again.
I know, it's gone so quickly. Can you believe it? We're back in episode
it's
2.
a lot has happened since we last met.
Yes,
So
let me remind everyone why we're here today.
Of course.
We are going to be talking about success techniques, especially if you are looking for a career, already in a career, or wanting to become high performers within your career and want to continue in that consistent way, which is very difficult for most individuals. But as we know, we can do this together. We have done that ourselves, and you have proven in your field especially that you can come from somewhere and actually achieve what most people desire, and you are continuing in a very, very successful way.
Thank you. And definitely, I think anybody can achieve anything that they set their eyes on, as long as you've got the hunger and you're willing to grow as an individual, as a person, whether that be by having models that we spoke about, role models, or whether it be talking to yourself, or whether it be just learning, reading, whatever it is. Everybody has that within them. It's just being able to find it and to get there, and no better way to help find yourself than speaking to a coach.
And I remember when we had our previous conversations, you did question me. You're like, oh, don't say I'm successful, because what does that mean?
Yeah, no, because obviously, you're going to embarrass me now, but we were discussing this because you wanted to introduce me as a successful entrepreneur. And when you said that, it just stopped me and it made my mind think, what is success? Because people measure success in different ways. I mean, I know people obviously tell me that I am successful, and yeah, to certain elements to what I've done, yeah, there has been some success. But for me, I don't classify myself as a successful person because I haven't achieved half, let alone a fraction of what I've wanted, what I've wanted to achieve.
What you just said there, that you don't think you're a success. Listen, we have to always remember that success is defined in different ways to different people at different times and different stages. So from where you are now to where you have come from, it is a success in most people's eyes, and it should really be for you. Obviously, it's not ever going to be an end goal. There's always going to be, even if you've achieved an end goal, there'll be something else. We are humans, that we adapt.
Of course.
We have to remember that. And even if we set ourselves an outcome and a target, we're going to say, okay, we've achieved it, or we've succeeded, or we haven't reached it yet. But just that journey and just that experience is a success, being there.
No, you're absolutely right. You're totally right. Obviously, people set themselves goals. You set yourself certain areas that you want to achieve to, just like I have with my business or with home life or whatever it is. There's certain aspects that you put yourself to get to. Once you get to it, your eyes open up more. You start to see the next stage. You start to see the next step.
It's not a bad thing.
Absolutely not. And that's where a lot of people become even more successful, because they become more hungry. Once you have achieved one thing, you realize that that's just the beginning and you want to go on to the next. And once you've achieved that, you then want to go on to the third and the fourth and the fifth.
So do you want to retract what you said about not being successful?
Okay, to a certain extent, I've achieved certain successes. I retract that statement. Always make me think twice.
Well, not really. To be honest, there's no direction here. In coaching, it isn't. But the thing is, we have to always give ourselves value to ourselves as to where we've come from, so that we can actually inspire to be more. There's always room for improvement. Remember that. There's always room for improvement. So one of the success techniques I want to talk about now is that instant state change. So what do I mean by that? So understanding your state of mind, like where you're coming from, identifying and acknowledging your state from negative, and then you can bring it back to positive really fast. Okay. So knowing, it's a kind of falls under what we've discussed before with self-talk.
Okay.
So it's like, your state of mind. So you've got to know the way in which you're thinking and understand it, and realize that if I am here, how can I get there, instead of always being stuck, especially if it's negative, in that negative state. And it's not about not having negative states and not owning what is not right, but it's about not being in there for too long, because that's when it becomes dangerous. And that's when you cannot move forward and grow from it and learn from it.
Definitely. And I think, there's loads of people that I questioned this when I was talking to a number of people, that negative thoughts attract negative things and positive thoughts attract positivity. And there was this little poll that I ran on my social media, and it was to do with business. And it was, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was people that do things mediocre, get mediocre results. And if you do things to the best of your ability, you get the best results. And I put this up as a poll, and I wrote true or false. And for a long time throughout the 24-hour on the social media it was at 50-50. And I was thinking, I don't understand this. Why do people think that it's okay to put a half effort into a job that you're doing or into a cycle, into whatever it is that you're doing, and expect to get full results? So exactly the same, if you're going to continuously have negative thoughts, you're going to have negative feelings. So if you're going to start a new job and you have these negative thoughts about the manager that you're going to report into, or the person that sits next to you that you're going to work with, and you have all these negative thoughts, you're going to start having these negative feelings. So you are not going to give your 100% all in. So when you start thinking positively, thinking, right, I'm in there for me, it's all about mindset, I'm going to talk to myself, I have a career model that I've based it around, and you start thinking positive, you'll get positive thinking.
And again, you're creating that habit, because a lot of us think, okay, it's very easy for us to just sit here and talk about these success techniques. But how do you maintain that on a daily basis and be regular and be consistent? Now that's where I come in. And at the end of the day, you know, just as you've got a habit of being negative, you can change that to being positive by constantly flipping the script.
It's funny you just said that. I was on a FaceTime call with a member of my family last night. And he turned around and he said to me, I just don't understand how you are always so consistently positive. Okay. Why are you always buzzing? Why is you always going? How is it working? And I said to him, I said, look, it's all about your state of mind. And he's obviously my nephew, younger than me by a number of years. But he says to me, I want to know how you're consistently buzzing and how you consistently keep it going and how do you make it work? Obviously, for me, there's certain elements. I have a life coach that I speak to whenever I feel down. I have books that I return to whenever I feel down or where I feel that I'm not at my normal frame of mind. Obviously, there are times as a human being, you have your 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, you're down, you're low. But that's the time that you need to reflect. That's the time that you need to go back.
What do you actually do particularly? Can you remember to actually get yourself to flip?
Okay, so me personally, what I do to try and turn myself to flip after a long conversation with you on the phone, you start to think about all the positives. You start to think about what's actually made you feel down, what's made you feel in that type of way. Does it really matter that much? Has somebody put you in that state of mind, or have you put yourself in that state of mind? If somebody's put you in that state of mind, it's wrong. We know this. You need to pull yourself back out of that state of mind. If it's you that has put yourself in that state of mind, why? Why have you had them negative thoughts? What's happening during the day? And how do you pull yourself out? Thinking about what went right, thinking about what is going right, thinking about what you want to achieve, what you want to do. And
you've learned a lot from coaching.
I have learned a lot.
Wow.
I have learned a lot.
I don't even need to speak much. Normally I speak a lot.
We swapped chairs, didn't we?
Yeah,
there
it
we
seems
go.
like it.
So it's just being able to pull yourself back out. And it's the thoughts that you give yourself. It's exactly that. Whether you take a couple of hours out and you meditate, as you said, in whatever way you do. To me, it's going for a long drive. If it's not going for a long drive, it's just sat by myself and it's just thinking.
But you're focused. You see, that people don't understand is that when you're going to focus on the negative, you're going to constantly also get that negative back. Your
100%.
Focus needs to be somewhere else, especially when you're in that challenge, especially when you're in that test. You question it, yes, like you mentioned, you question it, you analyze it, but then you got to refocus as to where you want to be. You don't give up. You have to have that drive. And even when you don't feel motivated, people think we have to feel motivated in order to get somewhere in life. Yes.
But what makes people motivated? This is the point.
But I don't think you even need to be motivated.
Okay, but then some people turn around and say to me is, how do you consistently stay motivated?
Well, you're not.
You motivate yourself. It's the thoughts that you give yourself.
Yeah, but even again, you don't even label it as motivation, because even if you're feeling down, it's not a motivation. It's just like sometimes you just got to do stuff that you don't like and you just don't want to do it, but you got to do it. And
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, that journey and experience will get you either to a state of motivation or drive or whatever it may be, but then you got to just build yourself up to do it regardless.
Everybody has that, if not one thing, has a few things that make them tick, that make them realize what they need to do and where they need to go. So I get this a lot, as a lot of people turn around and say, well, what do? I feel so down. What do? I do this. And it's like, think yourself. It's not because nobody wants to help you or share with you, but you've put yourself in that state of mind. You've put yourself down. You need to work out yourself. And if somebody else has put you in that state of mind, why are you letting other people's thoughts and feelings affect you?
Yeah, I wonder where you got that from. Okay, the other success technique we've got is be it now. Now, before I say anything, what do you think about that statement?
Be it now.
Well, again, it also comes back to when you have a modeling technique and that person's already there and they've done it. But in the law of attraction, we talk about be it now. So I remember even Jim Carrey talking about pretending that he had $1 million check in his hand before he had it, and he achieved it years later because he acted and he walked like he was already there and he owned it. Sometimes we think we have to learn a particular way and give it time before we do it. Even Richard Branson says, if you get the best opportunity in the world, the best job offer, without having the experience or whatever, but you've given that opportunity, most people will turn it down saying, no, we're not experienced yet. But his method is that you actually take it,
say yes, and then learn how to do it.
Later.
I've seen that quote. Absolutely, 100%.
So be it now. Be in that moment where even if you want to be success and you smell success and you want to be a particular way, act in that way, dress in that way, feel in that way. Suddenly your language changes, your body structure changes, and people see that and they're attracted by that because you're already where you want to be in your mind, in your body, in your language. Even the way you dress, and you walk into a room, you own it sometimes because you have that confidence. It comes with, a lot of, again, the state of mind. And when you're already there and you visualize it and you feel it, then automatically the things just come to you.
100%, totally agree. And if I look at it from a business point of view again, because I started off at such a young age within the automotive industry, everything that I wanted to achieve, I had to not pretend, but I had to act. I knew it. I understood it. And that quote that you gave about Richard Branson is sat with me all the time. And I always say this to quite a few people. If somebody offers you something and it's something that you do want to do, don't feel scared about taking that leap. Yeah. Don't be scared about taking that leap. Say yes, then learn how to do it. And that's an amazing quote. And even I remember when I was working for like BMW and Audi and Mercedes, and I got my first management job at the age of 21. And as I was trying to get my first management job, I was always being questioned, well, can you do this? Can you lead a team? At the age of 21, will they take you seriously? Will people respect you? And you always had to, it was your state of mind to say, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can. I had no clue. At the age of 21, honestly, how many people out there have said that they've been in a management job and they've managed people? At the age of 21, working in the automotive industry,
especially for a company,
for quite a huge company and big brands, the German brands, the team that I would be leading would be people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that are mechanics, master technicians, that are customer service advisors that have been doing the job years on years and years and years and years. But what is experience? This is one question that I ask. Someone says to me, well, I have more experience than you. I've been doing it for 10 years. You've been doing it for 1. So my answer to that is, so you've been doing the same thing 10 years in a row. Does that make you more experienced than me? You've done it 10 years in a row. I've done it 1 year. You've done it 10. You've just continued to repeat it. If you've moved from that one position into another position up, or you've taken forward steps, you have more experience than me. But if you've stuck still, if you've had the same job role for the last 10 years and you think you're more experienced than me, you're not, because you've just done the same thing 10 years over.
Yeah, that is one way of looking at it, absolutely. It's an interesting concept. But so yeah, the success right now is to be it now. So whatever you're planning, whatever you're feeling, whatever you want to achieve, you should visualize that and actually be that now. So that's a really good tip. And again, it rolls on nicely to the next success technique, which is your future self. So we have to visualize and give yourself a timeline, even if it doesn't work out. But it's good, like as coaches, we always say, write things down, have gratitude journals. But the other thing, especially in business, is to have a board and, to have like a vision board where you put all your dreams and aspirations, whether they're in pictures or quotes or statements, up. So you look at that every morning, and that becomes something that drives you, motivates you, and then it actually leads the whole process of your journey as to how you're going to be it now, how you're going to reflect, and your future self is actually going to be now, and you're working towards that, and you're taking steps towards it. So your future self is, it's really important to have outcomes and goals, but remember, don't get stuck also in that frame of mind, because life happens and it can take you in different directions, and it's okay. You got to start off with an outcome and with a goal, and your future self And if it doesn't work out, then it just wasn't your path. But you got to have something to work towards.
Definitely, 100%. I think the only way you continue to move forward in not just a career, in life, is by setting yourself that future goal. And I've seen this a lot. I've seen it a lot on the entrepreneurs that I follow, on their social medias, on their web pages, on their blogs. I see it just on influencers.
Yeah.
They all have notice boards.
Yes.
They have pictures that they've pinned up. It's not writing. Some of them are just pictures.
Yeah,
It just
exactly,
reminds them what they want to do.
Vision boards,
Now,
yeah.
vision boards. I myself, I don't have anything like that because
got your mind.
I keep it all up in.
Kinda the same, to be
I
fair,
kind of
even
keep it
though
all
I
up in
coach
here,
that.
and it's not because I don't have anywhere to put it. I can put it in my home.
Yeah.
I can put it in my place of work, but I am the type of person that I keep it here because for me, it changes.
Absolutely.
It consistently changes. When I first set up my business, my goal was to be able to have, let's say, for example, a Lamborghini on my fleet, which was one of my goals. And when I got to that, and I was like, great, I got my goal. I own a Lamborghini. But then I sat down and I thought, is that it? No, it's not it. I wanted another one, so I managed to afford to get my business up and working and bought a second one. And I'm looking now, is that it? No, you achieve more. So I didn't want to consistently be having to.
How many cars have you got already now?
We've got 10 cars on the fleet. Yeah, so we started off with just the 3, which was 3 Mercedes-Benz, the 2 S-classes and the V-classes. And that's, we've literally just gone over the year mark. We're about a year and 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And we've got it up to 10 cars, from sports cars to luxury Rolls Royces and to Bentley and to Mercedes. But for me, it wasn't just having a vision board to be able to consistently go up, because I am the type of person that my mind changes a lot. So if I was to go and put up a Lamborghini, in like 2 months' time, I'd be like, why have I only put one Lamborghini up there? You know, I want a fleet of them. I want certain number of cars. I want to do certain things. But 100% it works. If you don't have a vision board, or if you don't have it in your head, or you don't set yourself a goal, you get confused. I mean, there's one thing I just want to touch on, because we've never spoken about this, but it's quite interesting, because I used to do this a lot as a manager when I was working for other people, because this is how I used to get interviewed. A lot of people used to say to me, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Oh, that's a very common question.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Yeah.
And it was the norm.
Yeah.
So I started to ask that question when I was interviewing people, when I was working for other brands. And a lot of people turned around and said, that's a hard question. I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
And then I stopped asking that question, because then I sat down and I said to myself, where do I see myself in 5-10 years at time? I don't know the answer to that, because day by day, depending where my business takes me, or depending where life takes me, my goal changes. I mean, and there's not that my complete goal changes.
Do you not
but my
have
small,
like an overall view as to where you'd like to sort of maybe settle, like how people say, I want to have a settling by the sea, an island or whatever? Is there absolutely no?
I mean, there's a few things that I would like to do, but as an end goal, no, because I know
So there's no end.
there's no end.
Yes.
Because if I get to an island and on my yacht and I'm staring there, I'll sit there and I'll go, what's next?
Yeah. Well, that's
It's not
again,
enough.
it's the way in which the human works, okay?
Yeah.
We do adapt really easily. So maybe it's about changing the language. It's not about saying don't ask that question, but it's about where would you like to be in a few years' time? And don't make it like it's a final destination.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
Yep.
Because our final destination is only when we stop breathing.
But you
Literally.
do have a lot of people, and I'm amazed by them people when you speak to them and you say to them, when do you see yourself in 5 years' time or 10 years' time?
They do.
And
they're
they
quite
do, they have a
specific.
plan. They specifically say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve, this is where I want to get to. And you interviewing me, or me being here talking to you, is a part of the journey for me to get to these end goals. And I take my hats off to them people, because if you do not have that thought and that power that you want to get to there, you're not going to be able to.
It can work, but me as a life coach, when I see these sort of people, and I have a lot of experience where people come to me and they do want a set outcome even from the coaching session. So I do a lot of relationship coaching as well, and they want the relationships to work, for example, or in business they want a particular outcome from, you know, whatever they've set themselves towards. The thing is, I don't like anyone to live life through a blueprint. When you have that blueprint, it's there for you to drive you, but not necessarily for you to actually achieve it. If you achieve it, that's a bonus. But when you're fixated on it, remember, when you're fixated on it, it just only brings about expectation and disappointment and doubt when it doesn't happen.
Quick question, where's the blueprint? Who's done that blueprint?
That's what I'm saying. The individual has set it upon themselves by saying, you know, I'm going to get married and I'm going to live forever with this person. That's the blueprint. okay? Or I'm going to have this job and it's going to be set for me for the next 5 years. We cannot have a blueprint like that. Do you understand?
I totally get it. But I think also as well, when you said blueprints, so why I'm smiling as you're talking about that, because a lot of people, and especially the younger generation, when you talk to them and they talk about blueprints, they're talking about a blueprint that potentially their parents have set for them.
Yes.
Or a goal or an idea that your
Society
elders, your
expects.
guardian, or your society expects you to be able to get to. Whereas that blueprint shouldn't exist unless you've made that blueprint yourself. And
That's a very interesting thing that you just touched on, and I've been working with people generally about that, because we don't know ourselves, our identity. We have influences, like you said, with parents, cultures, communities, and that plays part as to how we set ourselves in the future with our careers, with our relationships. And the reason why some of the times I find that it doesn't work is because it's not them that have chosen it in the first place, whether it's a relationship or even the job. I know so many burnt out doctors. They've got the best jobs, but they hate their jobs, and they're not satisfied and they're not fulfilled. And in America even, half of the lawyers, are under depression because they're not going into things that they thought that they would love to do. Maybe it started off like that. And yes, these are high-end demanding jobs, but then I could say the same about you being a business owner. But because you're passionate and you love it and you've got meaning for it, that even those days that are hard for you, it actually still drives you to still go out there and do it. Because I know we all can't have jobs that are passionate and what we love and what we mean, but you can make it meaningful. So I think it's a really interesting thing that you said that, but it's something for people to think about, is to know who you are, what your identity is, whether it comes from culture, society, religion, that we need to own it for ourselves. And when you own it for yourself as early on as you can, then when you make those big steps and those big decisions, they become something that you can actually make the right choices if you're making a partner, relationship sort of choice, or a business choice, career choice, because then it's something that is embedded from yourself and it can be long lasting. And if it doesn't work, you can own it and take responsibility and be more accountable for it, because that's where a lot of people also put blame. They're like, but my parents wanted me to do this, but I was forced to do that. Again, you're taking away responsibility.
100%. And I think when you get to, and I understand from obviously a younger age, when you're living under your parents' roof,
Guidance and influence.
of course, 100% you need guidance. I mean, I expect my son to listen to me till he gets to a certain age, but I don't want to be able to be the one that puts a blueprint for him and say, right, this is what I'd expect. Obviously, I mean, for me, I didn't really continue with my education after the age of 16 because I had the option. I'd love my son to, because you learn. And yeah, it's a different experience. I wouldn't turn around and say to anybody, look, I didn't study and look where I got, so guess studying must be rubbish. Absolutely not. No. There are certain people that will get much further because they studied, or they will do a lot more because they studied.
And that varies on the career path that you want to
absolutely
take as well.
Absolutely. Everybody differs in that sense, but I think you need to be able to set your own sights on your own goal, and again, use the techniques obviously that we spoke about. Again, people watching probably didn't know that these are, for example, techniques, but probably people knew about this. They knew that they need to have a role model and follow a role model, or they need to be able to talk to themselves, or they need to have inner thoughts, or they need to be it now, and everything that we spoke about. But to me, it's being able to take guidance from people. Obviously, when you're younger and you're living with your parents, you need to take guidance. You need to listen but absolutely question. If you're not living with parents, you're living with a partner, or you're living with a brother, or you're living with housemates, and you're on your own. You're out in university. You're living in a flat share, whatever it is, and people say certain things or want certain things. Question it. Don't be afraid to question why. If you're questioning why, it doesn't mean that you're a negative person. You don't want to do something.
Just want to understand.
You want to have a better understanding, because when you have a better understanding, you can achieve that goal a lot better, whatever that goal may be.
And you need to be able to choose. A lot of us don't really choose for ourselves. We choose for society and how it looks. We need to choose because this is what we really love. This is what we really want. And I think that becomes a real genuine person when they're authentic and congruent to their own values and their beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm about that. That's why I coach.
100%. And I think the one thing that, I've come to realize a lot following all of our coaching is you don't have to be in a certain way because people expect that from you, or people think, okay, so we know Abbass and this is going to be his next move, or this is going to be this, because society dictates that his peers have gone and done X, Y, and Z. His competitors have gone and done X, Y, and Z. So naturally he'll do the same. You shouldn't follow society. You shouldn't do something because 100 million people on Instagram have liked a certain picture because of a certain way somebody's dressed, because somebody has a certain watch on, or somebody has certain pair of shoes on, or certain jewelry on, or whatever it may be. You need to do things for you. And only when you achieve it will you feel accomplished, and you will feel, I've achieved something.
And that also makes me go back to what we were talking about, the modeling. When we're modeling someone, we are using aspects of them, but we're being true to ourselves.
Yes.
So, you know, we're not going to become clones of each other.
Yeah, no, exactly like I said on the previous show, is when you have certain role models, as for me, I had a few role models, you take bits of every individual person and you tailor it to you. And that's what builds your character and gets you to who you are.
So have we discussed 3 techniques already? I think we have.
Is it already that time?
Again, we've come to the end of another episode.
Amazing.
And some really interesting thoughts that you've shared with me today. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for having me again.
And hopefully we will come back and we will be discussing more success techniques with Abbass and myself. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care.